It's the year of 1917. 100 years ago, in 1817, Britain engaged in the Third Candian War against the Uva Wallesa uprising of their Kingdom of Kandy, who seek their independence of the British colonial government. 200 years ago, in 1717, Britain disputed the War of the Quadruple Alliance, when we defended Italy's territories gained by the Habsburgs in Vienna from Spanish invasions. 300 years ago, in 1617, Britain was massacring the Uskoks, Croatian soldiers that, due to irregularities in salary, resorted to the vile acts of piracy, a period known as the War of Gradiska. We were victorious in the three of these wars. At the time, fighting in such conflicts was an honor, as it meant greatness and would supposedly bring glory to the country. Thus, I ask thou, how many of you have heard of these great wars? Who has learned about them in school? The ones that have heard these names, please raise your hands. Are these wars of such significance, so important, that they do not even deserve a tiny space in our collective memory as British citizens? I don't see many hands in the air. Interesting, interesting. I suppose we all are aware of who Field Marshal Lord Kitchener is, am I right? The Secretary of State for War, the one responsible for the enlistment campaigns of the Great War. Oh, well, has anyone here present heard of the 744,000 of British combat deaths? The 887,000 military casualties? The 16,000 civilian deaths? Huh? Not even the 1,675,000 soldiers severely wounded due to this great war? Kitchener keeps on pointing his nasty finger to you, to us, to the British people, telling us to join the country's army, still adding the so-called nasty British anthem, God Saves the King. God, Kitchener, now I speak directly to you. If you are so currently attempting to force your citizens to go sacrifice their lives in this great war, please don't justify it as God's wills. My Catholic God preaches for love, peace, and prosperity, not for senseless conflict that only ends up in bloody casualties, and I bet yours does not too. Were you responsible for the 744,000 of British combat deaths, the 887,000 military casualties, the 16,000 civilian deaths, the 1,675,000 severely wounded soldiers? Were you, Kitchener? This seems like burdens no one is willing to carry. So I beg you, father, husband, uncle, son, you, man, if your daughter asks you, Daddy, what did you do in this great war? You must say, I did not enlist. I did not submit myself to such calamity. I was not one of the soldiers recruited by Kitchener to fight in this great war. If she asks you, why did you refuse to enlist? You must say, I did it for you. I did it for my family. I did it for myself, and above all, I did it for the thousands who spilled their British blood in this meaningless conflict. If others ask you the same thing, you must tell them that. You must let them know about the 744,000 of British combat deaths, the 887,000 military casualties, the 16,000 civilian deaths, the 1,675,000 severely wounded soldiers of this great war. It is your duty as a citizen. Hence, you ask me, how will we then solve this conflict? How will we put a final stop to this war without sacrificing Britain's dignity? The answer is pacifism. One word, pacifism. Pacifism is a belief that violence, even in self-defense, is unjustifiable under any conditions and that negotiation is preferable to war as a means of solving disputes. We will open our politicians' eyes not by throwing rocks to blind them, but by lifting protest signs in the air so they can read. We will bring our country glory by worthily withdrawing, not by torturing our enemies and to the very end with no mercy at all. We won't honor the lost lives in this great war by continuing to fight, but by stopping others from losing their lives too. Resist! Do not enlist! I ask you!